Welcome to Dave's Take. Today we are talking about Bob Marley, One Love, the newest biopic about Bob Marley. The story of how reggae icon Bob Marley overcame adversity and the journey behind his revolutionary music. I was looking forward to this film because I do love biopics that are done really well, especially about musicians. I find them extremely fascinating, and this is from the same director who did King Richard. And I thought King Richard was one of the best movies that year. Unfortunately, I was very disappointed with Bob Marley, One Love. I feel like this film has a lot of issues that I really did not see coming. But I first want to talk about the things I enjoyed about this film, and the best part about this film are the performances. I think Kingsley Ben-Adir as Bob Marley was fantastic. He brings such a wonderful presence on screen when he's behind closed doors or when he's on stage. I feel like he absolutely nailed this role. But I gotta say my favorite performance of the film was Lashana Lynch. I thought she was fantastic here. There's a lot that she needs to bring, and I think she absolutely does. And I think there are some moments throughout the film that I found absolutely fascinating, especially in that first 15 minutes of the film. I was completely engaged. I found everything very interesting. I just thought everything was really well done at this point. But then after that first act, this film completely comes to a halt. It really slows down, and it stays like this throughout the whole entire film, and I found that extremely disappointing. And look, I'm not saying they need to rewrite history to make things more interesting. I mean, this is about one of the most iconic musicians of all time, an absolute legend. But I think the biggest problem with this film is that it focuses only on one point of his life, rather than his whole entire life. And yes, there are plenty of great biopics that only pick a certain time in that person's life, and they're great movies. But I think with Bob Marley, One Love, if we got the whole entire story, I think it would have been a lot more interesting and a lot better film. Because it feels like at this point of his life, a lot of things completely slowed down, and it feels like the whole entire movie slows down. It does its best by trying to flash back the things that happened to him in his past and try and tie everything together, but it really doesn't work. And look, there are definitely events in the first act and the last act that are completely fascinating, extremely powerful, and they're some of the defining moments of Bob Marley's career, and those were great moments that I really enjoyed. Which makes me think if this film took place over a larger period of time, those moments would have been even better, and the film would have been paced a lot better. There are also a lot of choices when it came to the directing that I think didn't really work at all. I get what they were trying to do, what they were trying to say, but just didn't come off right. And for the ending, I get what they're trying to do, but for me, it felt really anticlimactic, and I think it was something that we should have seen. What they do instead is show that real life footage in the credits, which is really powerful, it's really well done, and it is fascinating. But for me, for a film standpoint, I feel like a lot of the movie was building to that moment, and the fact that it just sort of ends there, it felt really anticlimactic. And I don't know, overall the movie just felt like scene after scene. It felt kind of messy. It just felt like it wasn't really going anywhere. Which, like I said before, is an absolute bummer because Bob Marley is such a legendary icon. He's one of the best musicians of all time. But I gotta say, if you're a big fan of Bob Marley, there are plenty of things to enjoy. The music here is just fantastic. I mean, we knew it was gonna be fantastic, but some of these sequences are really well done. You just gotta love the soundtrack. I mean, all of that is just great. But I was just disappointed because I was expecting something a lot greater. I feel like Bob Marley deserves something a lot greater. So if you're really looking forward to this film, I would manage your expectations a little bit. I'm going to give Bob Marley, One Love 5.5 Davey Daves. I know I said I was excited about this film, but I didn't really hear much about it till like 2 months ago. When I saw who was directing and who was performing and everything, I was shocked to see that the marketing really just started like a month out from the movie's release, and it was being released in February. But now after I've seen it, I kind of get what they were doing. So, Bob Marley, One Love. Let me know what you guys thought of it once you've seen it. I'm curious to hear. And thank you so much for watching. Click here to see more of Dave's Takes.